If I was to give this movie out of 5, I would give this 3.5 out of 5. While it's a very entertaining movie, actually reminds me of X-Men. Yeah, there are one or two things that don't work, not actually one or two, there are a lot of things that don't actually, I thought the production team actually kind of struggled with. Now, number 1. So, what is The Fix about? The Fix follows a model called Ella. She's played by Grace Van Dyne, who was in Stranger Things 4. Now, season 4. Now, we follow her in this toxic dystopian future whereby the hair has become absolutely toxic that people have to wear masks. Now, in the process, some group of people can come up with a drug, a drug that's supposed to revolutionize the future and actually try and help people with whatever they're going through. And it's more of a designer drug. And so during one night of accidentally making a very stupid decision because she was angry, because her friend and someone else were doing something on the side, and that triggered her into doing something stupid. A lesson on do not do anything when you're angry. She goes on to do something stupid now. Basically, she takes the drug, but not like a bit of it, like the whole thing, like a full tube of the drug. Now, we don't know what the drug does to people. It's being still experimented. It's still on its experimental stage. Now, after she takes that, now that's where we get to follow her. We get to follow the effects of the drug. We get to follow whether the drug actually helps you or it just makes your life a bit complicated. Now, there are two things. There's what is happening to her. Then there are the people who made the drug, who want her because now she is the only person who has used the drug. So yeah, so basically we follow whatever happens to her happens. And yeah, the movie, in terms of just getting things going, by the 20th to the 30th minute, that is where the movie begins. That's where, for me, the movie actually began, because that's when things go down south, and that's where you feel like the movie just, kicks into gear and starts moving. Before that, there's a lot of establishing a lot of things. There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of exposition. There's always something telling you about what's happening. There's something on the TV. There are characters who are telling you that there's something on the radio. There's always something telling you something about this world. So there's a lot of exposition in the first 25 minutes. But after that, after she takes the drug, after they go to that party, that's when things get interesting. Now, in terms of tech, because this is a future, a dystopian future, they have all these different kind of tech. Like the phone is this kind of earring thing that they play with. They have like a translucent laptop. I saw a character with one. The costume designers did a fantastic job. Some characters look really, really good. Not good in terms of futuristic, but just in terms of style. There's a sense of style in the movie that you don't actually see in a lot of African movies. So there's that. Then in terms of still on the laptop, there's the production design. I think there was a huge attempt in creating something that actually looks good, because there are areas that have not, I only call it unique, familiar, but yet unique. They're just small touches of futurism, but still it's very, very familiar. If you see a train station, you understand that it's a train station. If you see a house that has a party, you know that it's a house that has a party. If it's an apartment, you can easily recognize most of the stuff that you see here. The sci-fi element don't overshadow everything. They're there, but they're always in the background. So I kind of like that. I like the performances. Grace does a good job as Ella. There's the best friend, who I thought was pretty interesting, especially when they have their outbursts, because there's something going on between the two of them. And the story just allows them to actually push Ella as a character, because the story takes her from, she has like a proper arc. Maybe a character has an arc. She has like a proper arc. The same person you meet in the beginning is not the same person that you meet at the end. Totally different. So I thought that was pretty cool. The action is serviceable. It's okay. It's not something that I can actually go like, oh, that was awesome, or the gun work was awesome. But it's there to serve Ella as a character, because everything is happening around her, and you have all these other dynamic characters who help elevate her character. So I thought that was pretty cool. The cinematography is awesome. Despite that it's a dystopian future, there's an interesting contrast in looking at the world, which looks beautiful. They have beautiful landscapes. You look at that and then you look at people just wearing masks and you wonder what went wrong where. I thought if it was dystopian and they had a problem with air, you would see like broken down nuclear, whatever's, a dry land, looking just all gloom. But it's not all gloomy. There is sunrise, there are beautiful shots of the city. It just looks good. We have all those beautiful shots. Then you have now the smaller shots when you follow Ella with the special effects in her room, and these small technologies that they have that just give you an idea of the sci-fi nature of the film. They are captured very well by the cinematographers. The sound design is awesome. When some things happen to Ella, you actually feel them, you kind of see them, and you're like, yeah, that must have been painful. But the visual effects and the makeup effects actually did a great job in showing what you need to show when you need to show it. So, and it was believable. I was surprised by how much it was believable. Think of X-Men. I was watching that and I was like, this can fit very well in the X-Men universe because it's done so well. So apart from that, now the things that I would complain about, number one is, yes, we're in the future, but why do we have BMW and Range Rover evolve from the 2010s, the models, and they don't give them a touch of the future? You even have vans that feel like they are from our modern world. So if it's a dystopian future, I would have hoped that they would have added elements to the car, maybe work with visual artists to actually just remove the tires, make it like levitating cars. I know it's difficult, but you can just cover the tires with something green and then chop off the bottom and then just flatten everything. Or if that was too much work, you would have just made the interior interesting. What do I mean? Make the mirrors interactable screens, make it like if someone wants to watch the news, they can just look at the mirror. All the windscreen is just a full screen of events and direction, or just popping up warnings on who you should eat, so that when you look at it from the outside, it's a vintage car, but the inside is full of technology that talks about the future, this dystopian future. So I thought that was pretty weak. The other thing was the ADR versus the music, especially there is a particular room in a club. The music is just too loud to actually hear what people are saying. I was struggling to hear what people are actually saying because the music was just too loud. And the ADR did not help because you couldn't quite hear what they were talking about. Then they used the overall use of pop music. Pop music was everywhere. Every time an action scene popped up, yes, it's an action scene, but there was just pop sound just popping up every now and then, and I was like, yeah, this is getting a bit too much. I wish you would have gone for something more sci-fi, outside just music. You just go for a sci-fi soundtrack. Outside, no vocals, no nothing, just OCT, just soundtrack that goes with sci-fi rather than having like normal music. The other thing, I thought the story was kind of convoluted. Yeah, I know it's simple, especially after the 30th minute. It's simple because you're following this one character. You're following Ella as everything that is happening to her is happening to her. But you have all these side stories that just complicate everything, because at the end, there's a character called Lazarus who is introduced. Again, that was a very big disappointment because the character is set up so well in the third act that you're looking forward to seeing that particular character. You're thinking, do you remember the first time you watched The Matrix and then Morpheus was mentioned and then you met Morpheus? That look of Morpheus met your expectation, met my expectation, because I was like, yeah, even if I was to meet this guy on the street and they called him Morpheus, yeah, that's definitely Morpheus. But they talk of this character called Lazarus as you enter the third act. And when you meet Lazarus, you're like, what? That's it? No, I mean, they could have done so many things interesting. You think again of The Matrix, when they talk of the architect. When you meet the architect, he feels like the architect. He looks like the architect. He looks the part. But these Lazarus characters did not look the part. Actually, I felt like they were pandering towards one particular thing, toward a modern trope that cuts across all modern productions with that particular scene. I wish they would have stepped away from that and looked at that character seriously, because there was a lot of potential there. Give the character like white long dreadlocks. I don't know. Just get costumes that match what they had set up in the third act. So I thought that did not work for me. But still, going back on convoluted, There are a lot of things that pop up every now and then that I thought distracted from what we were focusing on. You know, there are kids that pop up and you're like, oh, they're going to do that, and then at some point they're going to show us that they saved these particular kids. I mean, why is that kid important? How does that kid add value to the overall story? Yeah, I know it's mentioned, but how does it do that? Then the ending, you get there and you're like, okay, I get the point, but I still don't get it. Why? So was this story about, was this meant to be an evolution story, or was it meant to be finding a cure for something? Or is it something that they did not know, and us as an audience, we also do not know? So when you get to the end, while everyone else is discovering it, we also discover that. Did Lazarus know that this was going to happen? Did they have that prediction that this was actually going to happen? You know, I was left with so many questions at the end of the movie. And this, I watched the third act twice because there is a lot of, after what is revealed at the end, I had to go back and watch and try to catch up with some things, because in concept, I think there's a good idea with this world that they're trying to create, with this thing that they were trying to show us. There's something there. There's a lot of potential. So I had to go back and check, and I still felt like there are a lot of loopholes. There are a lot of unfinished ideas that are within that particular act. But generally, this is, I think it's a decent show. If you come across it, you can actually watch it. It's a very good sci-fi movie. The fact that it's based in Cape Town works very well for it. It's coming from, the movie is directed by Kelsey Egan. Yeah, and I think it's decent enough for you to give it a try. So basically that's it. If you're in Kenya, it's showing on Showmax. If you're in all these other countries, I don't know where you can actually find it, but I know that it's in Showmax Africa. It's a kind of movie that you could enjoy for what it is. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. I shall see you on the next one. Adios, yo.